As we've talked about many times on the show, it is not small businesses that make business for or make jobs for this country. It is newly formed businesses which spur job creation in this country by an overwhelming margin. And as a result, we need to have a culture that forms these things, right? Investment, regulation, all this sort of stuff. Our next guest has spent his career working as an advocate for small business and new businesses. New figures, unfortunately, continue to show that this type of business is in desperate need of more support. More than 60% of small business owners say it is harder now than it was 4 years ago to get loan financing. If you look at equity investment in this country, it is very hard in that market. Let's say $25,000 to $50,000 up to $2 or $3 million in investment, almost impossible to come by. That is where new business starts. Lloyd Chapman is the president and founder of the American Small Business League. It's an independent, nonpartisan small business advocacy organization. My question to you is very simple. What policy changes could we entertain this year in the tax code or anything else that could spur a resurrection of that investment into that critical sort of cradle-making, sort of pubescent ecosystem that is this formative place that is not getting the investment that it needs?
Well, I think a really basic thing is to existing federal laws. They're on the books. Right now, federal law says 23% of all government contracts should go to small businesses. That's not happening. There's been about 20 investigations that show that most of that money goes to Fortune 500 firms. There's another law that says any federal acquisition under $100,000 should go to small businesses. That's not happening. Another federal law says 5% of government contracts should go to minority-owned companies. That program is being dismantled. And the thing that concerns me the most is President Obama's plan to combine the SBA with the Commerce Department. To me, that's really the same as closing the Small Business Administration, so I'm concerned about that. I guess the last thing is I thought the whole purpose of TARP, I saw President Bush, President Obama, and McCain on television talking about we need to pass TARP to increase access to capital for small businesses. And the truth is that since that was passed, access to capital has dropped. So I think President Obama and Congress need to do something to address that. Yeah,
can we go back up 2 graphics? There was a graphic that we had that had the increase in bank profits and bonuses and the decline in lending. Ari, take a look at this. When we talk about the lack of investment and the distorted flow of capital in America, nothing to me is more instructive to that than the capital flows in the banking system in 2011. Bank profits primarily made in credit derivatives and offshore speculation, up $29 billion. That money provided by the Federal Reserve for free to the big banks. No one else gets that. Bonuses up, you can see, 67%. Simultaneously, the federally chartered banks that we actually have, that we are giving this free money to, that we give all this special privilege to, have declined their small business lending by 43%. I don't care what the monthly jobs number is. When your financing system looks like that graphic, Ari, you are screwed.
Yeah, and that's why people are angry. That graph really illustrated it well. I wanted to ask Mr. Chapman, though, the Obama administration has made small businesses a major theme of the State of the Union address and of policy this year. And so do you think that his policies aimed at helping small businesses have had any impact? And do you see any glimmers of hope on that front?
To tell you the truth, Obama talks about small business a lot, but when you look at what he does, I'm afraid he's actually dismantling all the federal programs for small businesses. The latest data that we've compiled from the government shows that the top 100 recipients of federal small business contracts, 70 are large businesses. So you're talking about companies like Lockheed, Boeing, Northrop, Raytheon, Finn Mechanica in Rome with 73,000 employees, Rolls-Royce, British Aerospace, all getting federal small business contracts. And again, the move to combine the SBA with the Commerce Department, that's a 30-year-old thing that the large corporation have been trying to get to dismantle this federal program that directs 23% of the contracts to small businesses. So when you look at what he does, I don't see him doing anything that's pro-small business. I see him doing things that I would say are anti-small business.
It seems, Crystal, that our politicians are mastering the rhetoric, but they learned to talk the talk on both sides of the aisle, but they don't seem to be learning. They don't understand how to walk the walk.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And actually, Mr. Chapman, this is Crystal Ball. If we could go back again to talking about that graphic that Dylan put up, I mean, let's dig into that. From your perspective, what would be the best thing to encourage and incentivize banks to lend to small businesses, so businesses can form and so that existing businesses can expand?
Well, you know, they've actually passed a number of programs that are supposed to encourage banks to lend to small businesses. but they really didn't have any teeth in them. There's no downside to banks not lending to small businesses.
So we need an enforcement mechanism, or?
Yeah, absolutely. You need some enforcement mechanism, and increasing lending to small business needs to be tied directly to these banks getting help from the federal government. But again, there's been reports come out for 2 years now that lending to small businesses has dropped dramatically.
And if you don't have the culture of experimentation that can only exist in an environment of of all these little incubators and ideas being germinated, you're never going to solve problems. You're never going to. You don't seize the greatest American thing, which is the experiment. Lloyd, it's a delight to have you with us. Mike Williams, when you go home this weekend, you need to tell your friends at the Super Bowl that Dylan Ratigan wouldn't shut up, and as a result, you didn't get to ask Lloyd a question. And I apologize. It just means that you'll get to talk prolifically at some future date. I'm sorry, Mike. Mike Williams, Cristobal, Ari, Lloyd, thank you so much. Getting this Congress to work for America is just one of the topics that we discussed last night with our leaders in Washington. A wonderful event in Washington, D.C. We had the fiery progressive, I would say the most fiery of all the